We're 3 years on from all the sort of shenanigans with the British Grand Prix at Donington that people will be familiar with. The circuit's back in rude health and looking good and sort of almost as if it never happened.
Well, thank you for saying so. I mean, the most important thing when I took over the job as MD at Donington Park was to make sure that everybody enjoys the circuit, enjoys the industry, part of the industry could say, we're getting it back to where it was. And if we end up, just with it looking as good as it was in 2005, I'll be happy. But obviously a great deal of improvement yet to come. We're hard at work at the moment. We had a great season last year. We've got a terrific season coming up and looking forward to it.
Highlights, British Touring Car Championship, British Superbikes, Donington Historic Festival, all great meetings last year.
Yeah, and delighted to announce that we have World Superbikes, the only round in the UK, at the end of May, which I know a lot of the four-wheel fans enjoy the two wheels as well. So World Superbikes terrific, British Superbikes terrific, but the really exciting thing for us, especially with Jason's car here and him just having been out, is that we've got the Easter weekend at Donington Park. Thank you very much, Alan Gow. Excellent. With the British Touring Car Championship over the 2 days of the Easter weekend. Should be a great meeting.
Some subtle revisions to the layout of the track in recent years, particularly at the end of the lap with the S's. Has that proved popular?
Yes, it has, and Roberts is the name of the chicane now, after the late lamented Robert Fennell, friend to many and MD at Donington for many years. And that has made a much better, safer corner. But it also means your speed across the start-finish line at Donington is much higher than it was before.
And which is quicker into Redgate.
Quicker into Redgate.
One of the world's most difficult corners.
And for those of us who in our own amateur racing spent a great deal of time on the grass at Redgate, it's just as well the gravel trap's a lot deeper now than it was. Yeah, and one of the problems with the GP that was never happening era was that nothing got done in the general sense of what needed to be worked on. So it's only now we are shut down at the moment and won't open again until the middle of February. Lots of improvements, lots of new safety fencing inevitably, but hopefully a lot of spectator improvements as well. And I hope that people will notice the difference when they get to Donington this spring. And
I think Tom Wheatcroft, the late great Tom Wheatcroft, who sort of brought Donington Park back to life in the late 70s, he'd be very proud of what you've done and what Kevin continues to do.
Well, that's right. It's a wonderful connection from Tom to have Kevin Wheatcroft as chairman and owner of the circuit now, for whom we all work. We've got a great team there. But what's particularly exciting, I think, is that there is this great continuity at Donington. 80 years we celebrated in 2013 of the first car race at Donington Park. That's a good record. Yes, it was shut for a little period, but reopened again in 77. And the museum is something that is just very special. It is the largest collection of Grand Prix cars in the world. We've just recently done a new deal with Williams and with McLaren. We have 2 dedicated rooms for Williams and McLaren F1 cars. Fantastic history. 120 Formula One cars. Nowhere else in the world can you come and see that.
I almost lived in the Donington Museum as a child, just sort of soaking up that history and that atmosphere. It is a remarkable thing, and I think it's a box that every true race fan must get ticked.
Oh, well, that was why I was very keen to really get the historic festival going. First weekend of May, the May Bank Holiday weekend, 2, 3, 4 May. We will have, of course, a tribute to Ayrton, because that's 20 years. But we're also having a tribute to Formula 3, because it's 50 years of Formula 3 starting. The first champion was Jackie Stewart in a Cooper BMC. And so we'll have a little representation of Formula 3 through the years. But it's a fantastic festival, and everyone who goes to the festival gets to the museum as well. And that's a proper dose of nostalgia, which we're very much looking forward to.
And I've been hired to commentate, which is terribly exciting.
Yes, it should be very exciting. I think there'll be great racing, Henry, and we look forward to the commentator being really good.
Well, yes. Who knows? Other exciting developments, sort of slightly off-piste that you were mentioning earlier?
Yes. I've long held the view that Donington, at the heart of British motorsport and right at the centre of Britain, ought to be and able to be more than the museum and the track. So I'm delighted to tell you that we have started construction work on a major new project for race teams, and we think we've pre-let a lot of them. We'll tell you more in detail. But just inside the paddock on the left, we are building out all the way through there 9 big sheds for race teams to have as their headquarters. I think that's a great advantage. You can literally then drive your race car out of the door of the factory and onto the bit we call the MotoGP loop, round to the pits, and you're all set to go testing. So this is an important development for Donington. And elsewhere on the infield, at the sort of airport end, if you know where I mean, we have, this winter, we'll be taking in a total of 200,000 tons of material in order to create a whole series of new spectator banks and viewing platforms down at the far end of the circuit.
For McLean's and Coppice and great.
Exactly. So the bridge, not the stonework, is staying, but the old crumbling bridge is down. And then as you come up through there as a race car now, it will look as though you're in an Imola-like cliff of spectators looking down at you. So for the British Touring Car weekend, it should be ready. It should be very exciting, but we just need it not to rain for a month or two, first of all.
Good luck with that. Yeah. You've got World Superbikes. That's a big coup. What about MotoGP? Historically, Donington was a well-loved Grand Prix motorcycle venue. Can you get MotoGP away from Silverstone, do you think?
Well, I'm very much on record as saying that I believe that the home of top international motorcycle racing in Great Britain should be at Donington Park. It's a biker's circuit as well as a great racetrack for cars. I think the Spanish owners of MotoGP have no doubt at all as to our ambition. There is a contract in existence at another address at the moment, and it remains to be seen where it goes from there.
Very exciting. I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing all those little tweaks. It's going to be good.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And the other one I would mention, if you like historic cars, you've got to love historic bikes. And this year we are in the beginning of August doing a classic motorcycle festival. And you can't fail to acknowledge what we acknowledge here, which is that John Surtees remains the only man to have won a world championship on cars and bikes. And we'll be having a little bit of a celebration of that as well. But the really exciting thing for that festival is one of the great favourites with the British fans, 2 wheels or 4, is Kevin Schwantz, who will be coming to Donington Park on the 20th anniversary of his winning MotoGP in order to spend the weekend with the fans and ride some demo laps on various bikes.
On his old Pepsi Suzuki?
On his old Pepsi Suzuki,
brilliant.
God willing, would be the plan, but if not, on a number of other bikes.
Wonderful. Great stuff. Thank you for talking to us. Enjoy the rest of the show. Christopher Tate, ladies and gentlemen.